Okay, so I think I got everything here. Both end plates, case, rotors, governor housing, governor drive gears. How to. So I'm just gonna kind of get my plan together here. This end plate, I've already lapped this one a little bit. It wasn't bad. Looked a little bit like this one without the like mungy area there where we had the mystery fluid. I just lapped that a little bit with some 1500 grit, or it might have been 2000 grit. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. Bearings and seals are still in these. I'm going to pull the bearings and seals. Case is pretty much cleaned up. It's got some scratches in it. It's got one pretty good one that I kind of cleaned up, made sure there was no ridge in. I'm going to try to keep shooting these with so you can kind of probably see in there. The worst of the scratching is right here. It's this guy. See, it's right there. Catch it with my nail, but we're gonna run her. So again, I'll set this guy over here. And we'll be doing a little bit with both here. Just gonna kind of let them. I think we need the light on right now. So probably the first thing I'm going to do is I do not have the tool that pulls the existing wear rings off. I'm going to stand these up, make myself a little bit more room here. I did already remove one right here. You can see where the original ring was running, which actually, I guess it's worn. And I did that with just a cold chisel and a brass hammer. And it came off amazingly easy. So I'm going to do the same thing with this guy. Just got a basic little cold chisel here. Actually, what I did before is I laid it on the edge of the bench so that I was just driving on the shaft itself. That's it. Hardly takes anything. I mean, they came off. You can see how much force I use. These are little cast iron rings, so they have virtually no strength. So I did that one. I'm going to do this one. Well, I guess I had two on the other one. Same thing here. Ta-da! See that, but this one had a little bit more wear on it. Get this wear ring off. Okay, so there we go. Got our rings are off, and okay, so we're going to take these end plates, or these bearing retainer plates off. Let's see about getting these. I don't have the proper tool. For removing these bearings, so we're gonna old school that. wash this stuff a lot. It's still dirty. Go away, fly. Okay. Okay, so I skipped that a little bit. Kind of cut a couple of chunks of wood here. These bearing assemblies come out this side. Trying to make a better shot there. So they come out this way, being pushed from the back. So I don't have a press here, but I do have some bearing and seal drivers. These are your everyday Harbor Freight jobs. And according to the manual, we can drive the seal and the bearing out as one assembly. So we're going to just kind of... And they're not lying. That was really simple. So I'm going to do this one. There we go. One end plate with bearings and seals removed. We'll kind of store those up right there. And we'll do the other plate here. Oh, gotta take the retainers out. So, retainers first. Actually, we'll put these with this one. Bearings sound a little yucky, actually. They actually weren't in terrible shape. One side was worse than the other. I gotta think it was that fluid that was in the rotor. It was just throwing it way out of balance. And you can kind of, there was some little scarring here. And that must have been something that got caught in between the rotor and the cover plate, because there's nothing really on the rotor kind of at that area. You can see like some, I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in here a little. So something definitely got in there. And I have deburred these faces a little bit, just with a flat file, real carefully. And 1000 grit stone, flat stone. So anyways, let's see if we can get these out. See if these are the same size, and it looks like they are. Boom. So let's do a. Let's see if I need my light here. I don't know if it's helping or hurting. It's hard to tell. But you see these scars. This camera does not have a display on it. The other one I'm using hooked up to the iPad, so I can see kind of what's going on. Makes it a little easier. But so there's my little scars. I don't know if the GoPro can handle this distance or not, but I'll shoot it with my phone too, just in case. And there's my little setup. Again, I haven't encountered any like ultra high difficulty like mechanical anything here yet. So this is pretty much just round things and other round things, basic mechanics. So theirs gets a little finicky when we get these set the blower timing and stuff, but even that's pretty straightforward, good directions. We're just going to kind of keep going here. I'll leave this guy running for a little bit over here. Let me check my phone too. Alright, so there's both bearing plates prepped and ready. We got the seal savers off. Put these back. I got just a regular solvent in a can because this bus is gonna cost me more in brake cleaner than it is in parts current rate. So I'm gonna kind of switch over to a little old school. I'm gonna do that, and then I'll bring these back. Okay, so I got some solvent here, and I just cleaned up these a little bit, wiping them out with a high performance diesel towel. All the oil passages look pretty good. I flushed the screens. You can see these backwards and forwards. They're clear. Okay, lapped, not lapped. So I think what I'll do is I'll lap this one a little bit real quick right now, and just check smooth. It's a little 600 grit, wet dry. It's just kind of a rigid foam block. Again, I'm not applying any pressure here. Not trying to remove any material. Just got to remove a little bit to make it work. I didn't pull the locating pins. I'm just kind of going around them. A little WD is lubricant. It's already way smoother. Okay, so bump up to a little chunk of 1500 here. Remember when they only used to have one kind of WD-40 can? Now there's like 80. I accidentally bought one of them ones that it's like a bug spray can the other day. That's the greatest idea ever for them. You can empty the whole can in about 2 seconds. Stupid. This is just virtually no pressure whatsoever. Could do that for the rest of my life, but I'm gonna make it shinier and shinier, but just trying to make sure that it's a smooth surface. I'm sure these rotors are worn to the point it makes no difference whatsoever, but so now still got a little bit of solvent on it there, but both our end plates here. Both sets of bearings and seals. Alright, we are tore down far enough to start putting stuff back together. And as of right now, I think what the next step is to drive in these oil seals, which are right here in my package. So these are single lip style. All this stuff came from Diesel Pro. And these are coated seal, so they're intended to be installed dry. So we're going to get these lined up, get a seal driver, and drive these in. These also get put in slightly depressed in the bore. So I have a little depth gauge I'm going to use to check that, because I don't have the tool that actually sets that automatically. So I'm going to grab that tool and my seal driver, and we're going to start putting them in. I'm going to set these seals in right now, and I have two different size seal drivers. Again, this is a Harbor Freight kit. This is no Detroit specific anything here. I'm going to start with one that's a little bit oversized, just to make sure that I'm absolutely driving on the farthest outer edge. Not the one I actually used to drive the assemblies through. I should get a screwdriver for this. Get quicker. So, anywho, bores are wiped dry. So we're going to try to get these nice and square on here. Take this seal driver. Do our very best here. One. There's a Teflon seal. It actually seals between the bore and this as these are run in. That's why you don't want any lube in there. So we're gonna, last one was a little bit messy. Okay, now switching out to the smaller. We don't want to have to drive these back any. I can tell they're still a little tiny bit proud. So move this guy a little closer here. Oh boy. They're just the tiniest little bit proud. So I'm gonna just kind of get them flush here. Spec is 3 to 8 thousandths, I think, something like that. So have just your basic little depth gauge here. I don't know if you can see that on this camera. We're gonna zero this guy out, and I can feel we're still proud. We're definitely still proud on both sides. So we're gonna lay him over here. Okay, so now so this one is too deep, which sucks. So I didn't really want to have to drive on the back side of that. But I'm going to just real carefully a little bit here. Okay, so this one's 6. This one's 7. This one's pretty much at 7 thousandths down. This one is still down too much. So I'm going to bring him back a little bit more here. That one's really nice. Okay. 0, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 9, 8, 9. Kind of tricky with this because it's hard to make sure that the follower is on the brass part. But it is still a little tiny bit low here on this side. So let's see if we can sneak her up. There we go. It's 8. So it's like 7 to 8. I'm going to call that one a win. Set him over here. And we're going to be more careful on this one not to go too deep. Just the tiniest little bit proud, so I'm gonna just kind of get them flush here. Spec is 3 to 8 thousandths, I think, something like that. So have just your basic little depth gauge here. I don't know if you can see that on this camera. We're gonna zero this guy out. And I can feel we're still proud. We're definitely still proud on both sides. So I'm going to lay him over here. Okay, so now. so this one is too deep, which sucks. So didn't really want to have to drive on the back side of that. I'm going to just real careful a little bit here. Okay, so this one's 6. This one's 7. This one's pretty much at 7 thousandths down. This one is still down too much. So I'm gonna bring him back a little bit more here. That one's really nice. Okay. 0, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 8. 9, 8, 9. Kind of tricky with this because it's hard to make sure that the follower is on the brass part. But it is still a little tiny bit low here on this side. So let's see if we can sneak her up. There we go. It's 8. So it's like 7 to 8. I'm going to call that one a win. Set him over here. And we're going to be more careful on this one not to go too deep. Let's go back to the big guy. Okay, I'm going to switch back to the big guy. This guy's 2 8,000, so it's just barely down. That's 6. 5, 6. I don't know if you can see this. There's 4. So oil seals are in. Okay, so this is probably the part that's freaked me out the most since I took the first one of these oil seal rings off, because we saw how ridiculously easy they break. So here's our new oil seal, or I mean old oil seal, and our new one. Now, it's really probably going to be hard to tell, but there is a tiny, tiny little chamfer on the inside of this oil seal. It's right there. I don't know if that's showing up on camera. And it talks about placing the chamfer first, which makes sense to get that started. And these are the ones that came with the diesel power kit. And I don't know if that's focusing. They don't appear to have a chamfer. I can't, maybe a tiny bit on this side? So that's the side I'm gonna go with. Just kind of wipe these down a little bit. Make sure there's no munge on them. And I have a little bit of 1040, just a little bit of engine oil I'm gonna wipe on here to kind of lube these up a little bit. Okay, so now it recommends a press skin. I don't have my press here, and not sure that would help me. So what I got is a Craftsman 1-inch 12-point socket, which does not fit over the ID of where this race sits, but it does fit very squarely on this, if you can see that. So it will push on it real evenly. And I'm going to use that to start with until I get the ring down on there. And then I'm going to use this larger 12-point, also a Craftsman, which I have checked, does fit just down over the OD of this shaft. So it won't get hung up on there, and I can finish seating this down on there. So I'm going to put a little bit of engine oil on here. I'm going to drop that on like so. And then we're probably just going to immediately break it. I got the rotor supported on some wood here. Kind of do a little close-up of this program. The other camera. Kind of do a little close-up of this program. The other camera. But that's what we're looking at. Actually, maybe I'll do... No, I'm so scared. Seems to be going alright. Hardly touching it. Okay. Okay. Well, it's pretty good. Guess I should figure out how far down that goes. I'm gonna do the other side. Ring. Wipe off the ring. See, there's one new freeze plug in the end of this shaft. The other side still needs some. And this one doesn't appear. I guess maybe there. It's really small though. So we'll just dip her in the oil here. Set her on. That one feels way less friendly. Panic. Looks nice and square. Ow. Oh, dude, I'm not a smart man. Okay, so this is why I'm not a professional. So the other side was fine because this fits over there, but this socket's too shallow, so I'm bottoming against here. I'm not actually driving on the ring. So we need a deeper socket. So apparently I didn't have this camera on for any of that, which sucks, but we'll use this one. So right now I'm going to go grab a different socket. So we can get the ring started here. There we go. It's more like before. I like that socket a lot for that. You're just down below that shoulder on the shaft there. So now we got both sealing rings on. Leave that rotor over here. You're just down below that shoulder on the shaft there. So now we got both sealing rings on. Leave that rotor over here. Okay, so this is the rotor that had all the McMystery juice in it. So this one has some new freeze plugs too. But should have dropped that in there. Right to the big socket on this guy. Scoop this out a little bit so I don't hit the camera again like I did last time. Still missing a couple freeze plugs. Oh boy. On this end. We can put those in now. I have lots of freeze plugs in case anybody needs them. The place I got them from had a $20 minimum order, and they were only like 80 cents a piece. So I'm fully set up with spare freeze plugs. It's got a little socket that fits in there kind of nice. Kind of tough to get them started. Once you do, it's just a matter of kind of sending them home. Get them down just a little bit. These are kind of El Cheapos. Let me see what they say in there. Dorman. AutoZone maybe. But they're not super accurate around the edge. I can see that. But so I just want to make sure they're down. They're not going to hit the inside of the blower case there. Sorry, camera. Camera's not going to survive this. Boom. Okay, so that's out of the way. Now, clean up this shaft a little. Oil up this guy. Ooh. That I don't like. Wah, wah, wah. So, everybody saw that happen. This is not tight on there. So, that either means that this ring is too big, or that this shaft is worn. Make sure that this is not broken. It's not broken. Well, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. So what to do? What to do? Peen it? Maybe. That really sucks. We do not want this to spin. On this shaft. Well, get a new rotor, get some new rings, peen this shaft a little bit, a little old school shaft saver style. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, that camera lens is dirty. Looks cloudy on my iPad. Seems a little better. We can take and peen this shaft a few times with a punch. Put some dimples in it to give that oil seal saver something to bite into, which I'm not 100% opposed to. I wish I would have tried these on all the shafts, because then I would know for sure that it's not just this. And of course, I don't got enough shaft left here to mic that. It does feel a little worn. Like maybe it was spinning previously. Doesn't look super galled though. All right, so I think we're gonna try. We'll try to save it. What to do? Peen it? Maybe. Peen this shaft a few times with a punch. Put some dimples in it to give that oil seal saver something to bite into. Which I'm not 100% opposed to. I wish I would have tried these on all the shafts, because then I would know for sure that it's not just this. And of course I don't got enough shaft left here to mic that. It does feel a little worn. Like maybe it was spinning previously. Doesn't look super galled though. Alright, so I think we're going to try. We'll try to save it. Alright, so I'm going to try to peen this shaft. Just put some like score marks in it here. Try not to hit the rotor 100 times. It's hard. That shaft's hard, as it should be. So it's not like it's not permitting a lot of deformation of the steel. So hopefully we can do it just enough. Just enough to make that seal saver want to bite on here. It's hard because it's not going on there, not going very deep. But it seems to not want to go on there now. So again, we're not going to be left with a new blower here. We're going to still have a blower that's got many, many gajillions of miles and is in mediocre shape at best. And I've already got a silver. So, where did my other GoPro go? Let's fire this one up. Hopefully that you'll be able to see tiny little marks I made in that. This GoPro, I have no idea if it's getting that, but when I go to put this on here now, it does not want to go on there. So I'm also going to put some Loctite on there, some green, some shaft C's on there, and see if we can get that to help a little bit too. So I'm going to get rid of the oil and clean this up, and we'll try that. Hopefully be able to see tiny little marks I made in that. This GoPro, I have no idea if it's getting that, but when I go to put this on here now, it does not want to go on there. So I'm also going to put some Loctite on there, some green, some shaft C's on there, and see if we can get that to help a little bit too. So I'm going to get rid of the oil and clean this up, and we'll try that. Okay, so what I got on there is some, I don't have any of the green shaft seal, but this is a Permatex Race Tight, it's called, which is basically looks like blue Loctite to me, but we're gonna give her a shot. Well, it's not falling on there, but it's not driving on there with much force either. Doesn't turn. Ideal? No. Acceptable? Maybe. Luckily the blower's right on the top, so if it don't hold, we'll try something else. But I think the worst case scenario we'd see from this would be that would spin on that shaft and wear out and start getting a bad oil leak. But let's just hope that bites on enough now to get the job done. So, okay. Now we got our new seals in. We got our seal savers on. It's going along pretty good. Okay. We're up to installing the end plate on the blower housing, which I have cleaned up with a little bit of acetone, just to make sure there's no residue. I also ran a flat stone on these a little bit, just to make sure there was no humps from assembly. And we are stamped, I don't know, you probably can't see that. We have a number 1 here, and we have a number 1 showing up. Can't tell. Number 1. So this is going on here just like so. So we're going to apply a little bit of sealant here. Okay, so battery died in the camera. What did you miss? I got the end plate on. Get it off these blocks for a minute here. Both these screws here. And what else I did was I got somebody coming here to do some things. And I didn't want to lose track of this. So I also took some of the blower mounting bolts and some flange nuts and some flat washers, torqued these down. I didn't torque them down, I just tightened them down to make sure that this gasket maker was clamped in here firmly. And it was, you know, well held on there. But I'm going to keep going here and try to get these rotors in before I get interrupted with that, and we'll see how far we get. This is my lower, which means this is my upper. So these have, let me see here. So that is the governor drive end. So if we put them like this. Okay, so just trying to put this together, right? This is the lower side. That's if it's on a 671, that's how they label them. And this is the gear end. And this is definitely is the governor drive. This is gear end. And this one has a U, so it's on the upper side. So then we clock both of the missing splines to the left, like that. So these are how these are going to go in there. Now, my problem is that I do not have the seal savers. I'm not 100% sure how to deal with that. I'm going to kind of slip them in here and just try to get them back that way and make sure. Both these have a little tiny bit of a edge on them. I think I'm going to coat them and the seals with a little bit of motor oil. Keep these clocked like this. I feel like I'm building a nuclear bomb here. Fusing one, I guess, not building one. Those are both still clocked to the left. And I kind of just keep heading back here. I can see pretty good in there. It looks nice. Okay, not unhappy with that. Okay, not unhappy with that. They're back in their holes. So now, okay, she's rolled over. Getting ready to set the rear cover. Swiping on a really thin coat of sealant here. Again, this is anaerobic sealant, so a little bit on the inside doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't get hard, it just goes away. Again, I do not have the seal savers. Line up my marks. Okay, so we are at cases assembled, and we are putting the bearings in. Again, no press, so we're old school in this. I got the case supported and the blower is setting on the case, but we're gonna kind of go easy, kind of just tap on this and see if we can get that to move on that shaft. That came out pretty easy, so I'm hoping, yeah, see, they go really easy. So we're gonna switch out to a something that'll drive on that inner race. I know I had one here. They're all. Boom. One down. Ready to go. So a little oil in these. And put the inner race chamfer down. There's a small start with that little seal driver because I can get a little straighter that way. They really go on there pretty easy. It almost falls on there. Getting significantly heavier though. That's for sure. Okay, so the roller bearings, they have a shoulder on one side. You see the shoulder right here, the pointer. And if I turn it over, actually the rollers are retained by a snap ring. There's no shoulder here. So shoulder goes down. Again, little rotella there. So this one we got to make sure we get this inner race to start, so that we're not driving on case here. There's quite a chamfer on the ends of the shafts, so they're kind of self-piloting. It's kind of self-piloting. It needs to go that way a little bit though. Ow! These things are finger-eating machines. What? What? There she goes. Huh? Good. All right, we're done. These two animals get clocked on here. Shims are already in place. That's just the two that came with. That's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to go ahead and get these two gears bolted on. I got both the missing ones are going the same direction. It's just a matter of getting that kind of where it goes. Getting that one. Also where it goes. That was pretty close. Hard to tell. Okay, so I'm pulling these on. we're just trying to get these on and get an initial reading for It's getting more dangerous by the moment here. That seems all right. I wonder if I could get a picture of this. Don't have enough arms. That's not bad. Okay, I'm not holding the lights now, but I might shadow myself here, so we're looking for, that's 7 thousandths. Goes in there pretty easy. Feels like we're bigger. So this is 8 thousandths. That will go in there too. Okay. So, let's see where we're at here. This is 9 thousandths. That is not gonna go. So 8 thousandths maybe. Skosh over. Float and be 14 thousandths. Okay, now we're going to switch. See about checking this other arm. Now this is 14 thousandths, so I don't know if I can get one 14 thousandths in there. Okay, so here's a 14. This is going to be tricky. I think I'm going to have to use 2 thinner ones. Just don't think it's going to bend like that. You can see that. I did get it in there. It is tight. Try 15 here. I guess this 15 is probably going to go too. Nope. Okay, so we are at 14. I'm happy with that. We're a little loose on the other end. Thousandths. Hey, she's no spring chicken. Okay, so setting the inlet side timing, and it's calling for 4 to 8, and on the gear end, and I can definitely get 7 in there, 7 thousandths, with some. But it definitely wants to turn them. An 8 won't go, so I'm going to call that 7 on the inlet side. So now I just have to do, oh, that goes another light. So this side outlet, it's really tight in there for some reason. Oh, I'm sorry, no, this is 4 to 8. So let's go down to 8. It's so difficult. It's so hard to tell. That's really tricky. But it seems all right. I don't think I'm going to bother. A fair amount of lash here. Calls for 4 thousandths max. Don't have my clamp holder with me. I'll double check it. But I think we're pretty much assembled here. Got a bunch of covers and accessories and stuff to bolt on, but Turns really smoothly. Hasn't cut my fingers off yet. Nothing is moving around in there or trying to hit anything else. I call that a win.